Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DMZ's International Women's Day event, Dare to Disrupt. Thank you all so much for joining us as we celebrate the women that have pushed the envelope in the tech community. My name's Adina, and I'll be your host for the next hour. So while this event is virtual, I just want to note that Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bounds them together to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations, Europeans, and all other newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, respect, and friendship. So let's take a look at what we've got for the rest of the event. We're going to start it right now. International Women's Day was created to celebrate the progress made towards achieving gender equality and women's empowerment. But it was also created so we could take a moment to pause and reflect on those accomplishments and strive for more. Women in Canadian tech have played a big role in the growth and development of the overall tech ecosystem. But despite that, they faced barriers and obstacles when trying to actually participate in that tech ecosystem, whether it's a lack of funding, gender and cultural biases, and even the pandemic, which we know put a greater economic strain on women. Women, and in particular women of color, have had to jump through all kinds of hoops in order to participate in the tech ecosystem, which is why the theme of this event today is Dare to Disrupt, because we know when women push the envelope and challenge systems, barriers begin to fall, and that has a ripple effect for future generations of women innovators and leaders. So a big part of today's event is revealing the recipients of the DMZ's newest annual award, the DMZ's Women of the Year Award. So that award honors extraordinary and inspirational women from across the global tech ecosystem for their accomplishments and their contributions to creating impact. There were over 600 nominations put forward for this award, so we're really excited to reveal the official list of winners today. Before we dive into it, though, just a few housekeeping items. I want to present the agenda for the event today. So we have a panel discussion coming up very shortly. Then we'll get some remarks from the DMZ, and then the award announcement will come right after, and then we'll have some closing remarks. And to keep you all engaging with us on social media, I want to introduce a Twitter challenge. So this is a chance for you guys to win a pair of Apple AirPods. So here's what you have to do for that. Tweet us using the hashtag DMZIWD and tag @the_DMZ throughout today's event. The more tweets you post, the higher your chances are of taking home a new pair of AirPods. The competition ends today at 5 p.m. So for full details on the challenge, check out the QR code. I'll give you guys a chance to scan that QR code right now. Now I have the honor of inviting our panel moderator to the stage. Please give a warm welcome to Lisa Lisson, the president of FedEx Express Canada. As president of FedEx Express Canada, Lisa Lisson has risen from associate marketing specialist to one of the most influential transportation executives in Canada. Lisa has also become a renowned public speaker in Canada and the United States for sharing her story about becoming the first woman and first Canadian president of FedEx Express Canada in history. Lisa, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Adina, and I'm just thrilled to be here today. So my name is Lisa Lisson, and yes, I'm the president of FedEx Express Canada, where I oversee over 13,000 employees across 69 locations right across Canada. And I'm so thrilled to be here, not to speak about FedEx, but rather to speak as a woman who has had to create my own path of success in a male-dominated freight and cargo industry in the midst also of some pretty personal struggles that I had to deal with. I'd also like to thank the DMZ for inviting me to moderate today's incredible panel with emerging leaders making their mark in the tech ecosystem. So here we go. Joining us here today, we have Lucy Ho, the founder and executive director of HackerGal. HackerGal is a Canadian charitable organization that aims to close Canada's gender gap in tech and inspire girls to explore STEM opportunities. To date, HackerGirl has exposed computer science and STEM education to over 25,000 girl identified students right across Canada. And Nyla, an environmental researcher, best-selling author, and project intern at Pond Biomaterials. At just 15 years old, Nyla is passionate about making an impact in the sustainability sector and was recently named the youngest recipient of Canada's top 100 most powerful women. Our panel discussion today was also supposed to be joined by Arlene Dickinson, who is a good friend of mine, and she's the founder and CEO of Venture Parks. But unfortunately, Arlene is under the weather and is unable to join us today, and we really hope she starts to feel better soon. Following the panel discussion, we'll be answering questions specifically from the audience, which were collected in advance of today's event. So thank you to all of those who submitted questions in advance. We really appreciate it. All right, let's get right into it, everyone. The panelists joining us here today are forces to be reckoned with in their own right. And I'd like both panels to share with us a little bit about what they do, their journey, and really how they ended up where they are now. So Lucy, over to you. Let's hear from you first. Tell us your story.
Thank you, Lisa. First, I want to thank the DMZ for having me a part of this panel. I'm so excited to be here to share more about my story. So what do I do? I'm the founder and executive director at HackerGal. We are a charitable organization that works with communities across Canada to inspire girl-identified students to explore STEM and technology. Our mission at the essence is to change the face of computer science so the technology landscape becomes inclusive and diverse of underrepresented groups across Canada. I found my passion in the nonprofit sector related to technology when I was first working in tech myself. I graduated from the University of Waterloo with an environmental background. So it had nothing to do with technology at the time, but I got into the startup field and I instantly was in love with the energy that the startup companies bring to the landscape. Worked a couple of years there before I moved to Toronto and worked in a venture capital firm for a couple of years. And that is where I found my purpose. I think from my personal experiences being in the tech landscape myself, I was able to identify a problem that exists and was able to create an organization that now is doing so much work to encourage more girls to enter the STEM space.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lucy. Very inspiring. All right, so let's turn it over to you, Nyla. Let's hear your story, please.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for the conversation today. I think my journey really began just in the 5th grade when we were doing a very typical energy project. And everybody was assigned different energy sources, and I looked into geothermal energy. And I think that was the first time I realized how detrimental our global consumption of fossil fuels was. And it sparked this interest in me. So over the next few years, I was staying up to date with the latest news in climate. But last year, when I was 14, that's when I really started, taking this interest and starting to come up with real ideas and build projects. And so right now I'm working on a few projects. The project I'm primarily working on right now is a bioplastic from duckweed. And so I noticed this issue of plastic pollution, obviously a huge, huge problem. But one solution to plastic pollution is bioplastics. And I found this very interesting, but bioplastics come from crops like corn and sugarcane and potatoes that humans need to consume, especially with climate change. This just isn't sustainable or scalable. So I started looking into second generation aquatic feedstocks, which are crops that humans don't consume and that don't take up land to grow. I came across duckweed in my research, which sounds very strange, but it's kind of been what I've been working with over the past few months. And then I've been working with a company based in Denmark on this endeavor and working in my local university lab. And then the other project that I'm working on is a transparent and flexible solar panel using nanomaterials. So something that could go, on your window or on your car or on your phone screen. And then outside of these main two projects, I love to code. So I just built an algorithm to predict the output of photovoltaic systems. And I also love to write. So I had my first novel released last February, which is fantasy and really nothing to do with climate or STEM at all. This is something I enjoy doing outside of that.
Wow, that's incredibly impressive. I can't believe, how do you fit all that in? My goodness. Well, thank you both for just telling us a little bit about your impressive careers so far. Truly inspiring. So the DMZ's Women of the Year Award was designed to spotlight the disruptors in tech and business and to honor those who have pushed the envelope, which clearly listen to both your stories. And we know that when women speak out and take seats at the table that are traditionally occupied by men, barriers to success in the tech ecosystem begin to fall. With that being said, we know that women in male-dominated spaces, and particularly women of color, face significant challenges like a lack of support, either emotionally, financially, an image of incompetence, and really just an overall lack of a voice. So I'd like to ask you, are there any strategies or tactics that you each have leaned on as you have navigated building your careers? So why don't we just start with Nyla this time? Nyla, over to you.
Yeah, I feel like I've actually been really, lucky to be very supported within my projects. But last year is when I started, trying to build these projects and trying to come up with, these tangible things. But I did have this concern. I was like, I'm 14 and there are people who have worked in these fields for, 20, 30, 40 years. And so I was like, why should I be building these projects when there are people who have been looking into this for just so much longer than me and who have so much more expertise? And I feel like a really great strategy that I came across for me was just networking and realizing that there may be people who have more experience than you in certain fields, but you can just reach out to them and talk to them because everybody's human. And so I would kind of like look up really cool companies in solar energy and bioplastics. And I just reach out to the CEOs and the lead chemists and the CTOs and whatever. And I'd be like, can I have 15 minutes of your time just to ask you a few questions? And I feel like through that, I got a lot more confidence, but I also just saw this big support ecosystem and how willing people were to help. And so I think that networking has been something I've leaned on a lot throughout the past few years.
Yeah, you know what? Those are some excellent points. I can tell you that I would not be in the position I am without my network, without my mentors. And you know what? It's so important. I always say, if you want to get somewhere that you aren't at today, find that person that's there and ask them for their career playbook. Ask them for, can I have 30 minutes to buy you a coffee? So those are excellent points and certainly have really, really helped me as well. So you can't underestimate the power of networking for sure and having those mentors around you. Okay, Lucy, over to you.
Yeah, I think for myself, one of the strategies that I've leaned on throughout my lifetime that actually carried into my career is the idea of building self-advocacy. I think it's so important that you bet on yourself. And I know Fred VanVleet says that a lot. I'm a big fan of the Raptors. So it's one of the things that I've leaned on as a child. I come from an immigrant family. So there may be a lot of folks on the line that have endured some or faced some of those challenges. When you come from an immigrant family and your parents don't speak English, as a child, I remember bringing paperwork home and being like, Mom, can you sign me up for this club? Or can I join this sports club? Or whatever the case is. They had no idea what was going on in, like what was the trends or whatnot. So I think it was a matter of just me always wanting to research for myself, ask questions, be curious about what I can do to be part of, the community. And in hindsight, looking at my career, I think that's what you have to do as a woman in tech. You really have to self-advocate for yourself. It's lonely enough being a woman in tech, but to be an entrepreneur or a founder in the tech space, you have to be your own leader. You have to, toot your own horn. You have to celebrate your biggest wins, and then also understand when it's time to, understand why you didn't succeed in some areas or whatnot. But yeah, I think self-advocacy has really helped me throughout my career. And it's different for everyone, whether you're an introvert or you're an extrovert, that may look differently. But for myself, it was always really having that self-awareness of what I wanted to do, taking time to journal, to understand like what my goals were and how to get there. So yeah, it's really helped me as I built my career into the tech space.
Excellent points, Lucy. One of the things I always say is that the most important conversation we have in life is with ourselves, that inner voice. And so a lot of times that inner voice will tell us, no, you can't do this or you can never do that, especially in male-dominated industries. But you have to change the narrative. You have to say, I can and I will. So important to pay attention to that inner voice, what you're telling yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, why would anyone else? And so to your point, to be your own biggest champion and advocate for yourself. So excellent points as well. All right, now back to you. I know you're still very early on in your career, but my goodness, you've already achieved such incredible milestones. So what has helped you navigate your journey as a young woman in a male-dominated field? So what's really helped you navigate this journey?
Well, I think one big thing is just people. Like, people have helped me navigate this journey. Like I mentioned, networking has been really valuable just because I've gained a lot of mentors through that. And because there are people with so much more expertise than me in certain areas, I think that's been really helpful in getting resources like labs, materials to build out my projects, and just knowledge in general. So I feel like the mentorship and support that I received from people is something really big that's kind of helped navigate my journey so far. And something else that's just helped me to navigate is like self exploration and curiosity. I think I am curious about a lot of things in the world, and there are so many big problems to solve in the world that we need to solve soon. And so just seeing these different things around me really motivate me and drive me to want to be able to create some kind of change in the world.
Excellent. It's so important in life that we always stay curious because there's such a wonderful world out there to explore and to stay curious. And I always too say it's so important to always be in a state of continuous improvement and learning. And how you do that is by being curious. So that certainly has helped me as well in my career, is being curious. So Lucy, as a leader that supports girls exploring STEM, I'm sure you've given this kind of advice, in the past. So what else could you share in terms of girls wanting to pursue STEM, and what is really kind of 3 or 4 things that have really worked for you?
Yeah, I think for me, I would have to agree with Nyla on this. I've always said to the girls, always be curious, ask questions, and our programs start as early as grade 6. And I feel like that's one of the biggest strengths of a program like this, is that we're starting to get girls curious at a young age. And that's the most important part, because girls don't know what they don't know. So for me, I'm always saying, ask questions. If you don't know, there's no right or wrong answer. And that's how you're going to understand what you like, what you don't like, what's possible out there. So that's one of the biggest things that we celebrate is curiosity and perseverance. Our programs at HackerGal celebrate, yes, girls learning to code, a movement of girls, entering the STEM workforce, but it's also about celebrating that failure is okay. And that's important to know as a young girl, because you could be hard on yourself. You could be hard that you don't know, how to code, or code is very logical. So celebrating those wins and understanding that perseverance is a big strength to get you through to any career avenue that you want to go into.
Lucy, I'm so glad you touched on the celebrate your failures or failure, because, I often say those failures are really learning opportunities, and they're helping you to get to where you're meant to be. So I always, with people I mentor, I always say, don't celebrate those failures, because there's so much learning in there, and that learning is meant to happen to help you, carry on with your journey. So I'm glad you really touched on that for our audience today. So you both do, when you listen to your story, you both come from, somewhat unique backgrounds and industries. But it's, as what I've talked, but it's so clear that, some of these tips and points that you've shared and the experiences that you have are very similar to mine in terms of how I've been able to navigate. So now I have some individual questions to ask each of you. So Lucy, statistics show that young girls have really internalized the misconception that coding and tech is a boys only club. In fact, girls are nearly 30% less likely than men to enroll in post-secondary STEM program after graduation. So what do you think are some of the biggest barriers to girls enrolling in STEM post-secondary education? I know one of the things you said was we need to get to the girls sooner, but how can we get that 30% number up? What would be some of the barriers that you think we need to overcome?
Yeah, I think the first, exactly what you mentioned, I think exposure at a young age really, really matters. Girls need to see themselves in roles in order for them to imagine them in these roles. Starting them young allows them to have the tools to make educated decisions when it comes to their career paths, or when it comes to understanding what technology can do for me. One of the biggest things is, when girls aren't exposed until grade 9 or grade 10 or grade 11, you miss the window of getting them, curious about technology in order for them to take the prerequisite courses to go into post-secondary and apply for that engineering program at Ryerson or whatever the case is. So I think it's a huge opportunity for us as a community to educate the girls in different programs and tool sets that allow them to make educated decisions, and see that it's not just a boys only club, that they can actually be creators of code and not just users of technology, which is huge for a girl to understand and reframe the way that they think about technology and what technology can do for the world and for themselves. And I think to add to that, it's representation. We don't just need girls and more women to get into STEM. We need people of color to get into STEM. I've had the honor of working with communities across Canada. I've seen girls that are Indigenous, that are French speaking, that are Black, that are Asian, at grade 6 say to me, I never knew that I could code, or I never knew that it was possible for me. So I think what we need to do is really celebrate women of color doing amazing things. And this is what this event is all about, right? So when girls can see themselves in roles like Nyla's role or your role, Lisa, they can say, I can one day be the president of a global company. I can create innovation that can change the world. And that's, I think, amazing enough for girls to see themselves and be able to imagine themselves in these roles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It really is awareness, education, and advocacy. I am constantly trying to get out I speak at schools to young girls and try and encourage them, to look at some of these, traditionally male dominated industries. So it's the awareness and the advocacy and the education. And I think, we all owe our part to continue to do that. So thank you for sharing those points. As I mentioned earlier, Hacker Girl is a Canadian charity, and I'm curious to know why you chose to found Hacker Girl as a charity. So could you share a bit more about that with us?
Yeah, Hacker Gal started in downtown Toronto with 30 girls as a passion project of mine. I was working in the BC landscape at the time, and I was really frustrated at why girls and women are not getting into STEM. What started with the 30 girl movement in downtown Toronto is now a national movement across Canada to change the face of computer science. The reason that we support girls in a charity and nonprofit organization is because we want to make sure we're providing access to girls and breaking down barriers to access in education. When you look at the private school system, they have amazing resources to get girls into STEM, robotics, maker club, maker labs, and whatnot. But if you look at communities in the inner city areas that don't have access to this is where HackerGal can come in and give them that experience where they can learn how to code with HackerGal, be part of a national movement, and understand that it's not just them coding in a basement at home in the boys only kind of mentality, but it's you a part of thousands of girls across Canada doing the same thing at once. So Yeah, it's exciting to see that it's something that's happening across the country. We're not only inspiring girls to learn how to code and understand careers in tech, but we're also inspiring teachers to bring coding into their classrooms. And I think that that's amazing enough, because many times girls are experiencing STEM and technology through the school system first. That's their first point of contact. So to see teachers that are like 60 years old, 50 years old, get excited about coding really excites me as well.
Lucy, I mean, honestly, truly, truly inspiring. And you should just be so proud of yourself. I think it's just absolutely terrific what you're doing to try and encourage girls to get into STEM. So my goodness, I've got goosebumps. It's truly inspiring. All right, so now let me chat a bit with Nyla. As I mentioned in her intro, at only 15 years old, she's an environmental researcher, best-selling author, and has been named one of Canada's top 100 most powerful women. Nyla, your accomplishments to date are what many people work towards during the span of their entire career, which is why I was saying, my goodness, how do you get all this stuff fit in your life at only 14? So what I'd like to ask you is, what inspires you to take on all of these projects? Where do you get your inspiration from? And certainly you must have a lot of energy and a lot of drive. So what motivates and energizes and inspires you?
I think actually what motivates me is just seeing the problems that are present in the world. And so climate change right now is just such a pressing issue. It's not something that can be ignored. And I kind of feel like it's something that I need to do. Like climate change is something that we need innovative solutions for now. And part of this is in the hands of the next generation. So if I can even play a minuscule role in helping to end or global consumption of fossil fuels, then that would be really game changing. And so I feel like I'm right now just like working on building out my ideas. They haven't actually been implemented in the real world, but my goal is to make an actual tangible impact so that I can play a role within this crisis. I think seeing these things every single day, seeing problems every single day, when you open up the news, there are just so many pressing issues that humanity is facing. I feel like it's a little bit of my duty as someone of this next generation to try and do what I can to play my role and play my part.
Oh, wow. Very, very inspiring. You know, they say in life, it's so important that we kind of find our purpose. What's your personal life or purpose? What's your passion? And clearly you have many, but it really starts with, what is your value? How can you make a difference in this world? And clearly you found that. And I think that advice will help others, because your story really serves as a great inspiration for young girls to dare to dream big and never take yourself out of anything that you want to accomplish. So do you have any advice to share for other young women who are tuning in today that are looking to, explore a career in STEM? Any advice that you could also share with them as they're looking to go down this path?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my number one piece of advice is to just start. I think everything starts at exposure. And so if you're not exposing yourself to different things, you don't know what you're interested in, you don't know what you're not interested in. And so if you know that, as a whole you might be interested in the environment, then go deeper into that. Like, are you interested in agriculture? Are you interested in the energy sector? There are so many different things that the environment encompasses. And then from there, go even deeper. Like, what if it's energy? Like, what specific energy source do you want to look into? Is there anything that you find really, really interesting? And then from there, just going even deeper, starting to write articles, understand it at more of a depth, and build your own projects. I feel like networking is really big. I know I mentioned it like 50 times, but just getting a LinkedIn account and reaching out to people is so, so valuable. I can't even express it, and just how helpful that has been for me when building projects. It can feel very daunting and you can have tons of questions, but there are people out there who are very willing to help you and who are very supportive. So those are kind of that's kind of the big thing I would say, is to just start exposing yourself to various things. And like Lucy mentioned, also being okay with the outcome of failure. I started my internship with Pond over the summer. And so I was writing basically all my procedures and understanding how duckweed can be converted into bioplastics. And then I got into a lab in October and I was like, well, I've written everything. This is immediately going to work. I'm going to have a proof of concept. It's going to be amazing. But I just kept failing. It was just one experiment and it failed for 4 months on end. And I think I got the experiment like 2.5 weeks ago. And now I'm finally moving on to the next part. But if I just stopped after one failure, then I never would have gotten the chance to understand why it failed and what I could do to make it a success that I could keep going. And if it's something that you really are curious about and you really do love, then being okay with this outcome of failure is very, very important. I feel like, especially in STEM, when you're going out and trying to build novel things, failure is 100% going to happen. And sometimes failure is put in a bad light in schools, especially, but failure is something that is just a part of the process and something you have to learn to embrace for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things that my mentor said to me, many of my mentors said to me, and I share with girls that I mentor, is that, first of all, it's so important to write down your goals, both personally and professionally. And they say that those people that write down their goals are more successful than those that don't. But it's more than writing down your goal. To your point, it's writing down those goals and then figuring out what is the one step that you can do tomorrow that you didn't take today towards those goals. Reach out to start building a network and let your intentions be known with that network of what you want to accomplish. The last thing my mentor said is visualize success. Visualize yourself achieving those goals, because they say it's like having a personal trainer in your mind. So there's some of the things that I think that I know have helped me that I share with others in terms of writing down their goals, figuring out those steps, establishing your network, and visualizing it all happening the way you want it to. So again, some really great tips. So I've got one last question for you both before we wrap it up. We've shared this time and time again. Being a woman in the tech community comes with its own set of challenges, but it also comes with big wins, curiosity that we've talked about, and really the ability to push the boundaries of innovation. So what I'd like to hear from you both on this one, which is our final question, what are you most excited about when it comes to the future of tech and business as a whole? So last words here, what excites you the most? So Lucy, let's hear from you first here.
Yes, I am excited about so many things when I think about the future of technology. I'm so excited to know that more girls are learning how to code. I'm so excited that more women are taking the leap of starting their own businesses and creating solutions through tech. I'm excited to know that Nyla is building amazing work, doing amazing work in the space, in the environmental space. Seeing all of these things excites me because I know that we're doing something about the problem. The programs that we put on today, they're actually having impacts because I can see it. I can see it through the work that we're doing at HackerGal, the events that we're putting on today. It's so exciting to know that, when I think about the future of technology, that there will be representation when it comes to women and people of color.
Absolutely. And so Nyla, over to you. What excites you the most?
I think I'm also excited about a lot of things. Something that excites me the most is kind of seeing how technology and innovation develops within the climate sector. There are so many emerging solutions right now. Like fusion energy is one I looked into a lot last year, and it is so cool. I think that's going to be something really big in the future, hopefully. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for, cellular agriculture and hydrogen and using quantum dots to enhance solar panels and things like that. There's just so much innovation. It's crazy. And I think looking at the energy landscape 10 or 20 years down the line, it's going to be vastly different. And I'm really excited to see how that looks.
Absolutely. I think about how much technology has changed. Just even, let's say, the past, 3, 4, 5 years. Can you imagine the rate of change is going to continue? Like it just seems to be happening faster and faster every year. And it truly is exciting just to see where technology is going to go and to really get that 30% number up to get more women and more girls into STEM. And, with you two blazing the trail here, you're really paving the way to really inspire young women. I could talk to you both for forever, but I wanted to say it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you both and hearing about your incredible successes. And like I said, you should be extremely proud of what you've accomplished. And I've really enjoyed spending this time with you. And so what we're going to do now, without further ado, it's time to announce the winners of the DMZ Women of the Year Award. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to you, Adina. And honestly, DMZ, thank you so much for having me. It's been my privilege and honor to be able to moderate this session with everyone today. Back over to you, Adina.
Thank you, Lisa, for moderating such an insightful conversation, and to all the panelists for joining us to share their thoughts. So we'll now be hearing from the DMZ's Executive Director, Abdullah Snowbar. For those who may not know, the DMZ is a startup incubator that helps startup founders build, validate, and scale their world-class companies. Under Abdullah's leadership, the DMZ has expanded its global impact, establishing partnerships and global offices across North America, Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And to date, the DMZ has helped over 670 startups raise more than $1.5 billion in capital. So please help me in welcoming Abdullah to the stage for more on the Women of the Year Award.
Thank you so much, Adina, for the kind introduction. And before I start, I just want to take a moment to thank the panelists, Lisa, Lucy, and Nyla, for sharing their stories. I was hearing the panel kind of, do their part. I was thinking about Lisa's book and her story about resilience, and I truly think, Lisa, what you've done on resilience is a playbook for not just women but men as well, and you're a true inspiration. So thank you for your great work on moderation today. Lucy, you are a trailblazer in our community. You are inspiring people to do things that that I never thought they were able to do. So you are truly a community enabler, and thank you for that. And Nyla, where do I even start? One thing Lisa said is that you have to listen to your inner voice. And as you folks were talking, my inner voice was telling me how inadequate I feel compared to what you are doing in grade 5 and what I was doing in grade 5. So congratulations to you on all your success. And I got to say, Nyla, thanks to your school and your teachers for allowing you to do this during a school time. But it's all hopefully for the better. So thank you. I also want to make sure I thank our host, Adina, for emceeing today's event. Adina's contributions to the Canadian tech ecosystem deserves a shout out. Her reporting is integral to amplifying the tech ecosystem stories, whether it's celebrating our wins, highlighting our shortcomings, or where we need to do better on the reporting trends. Her work has definitely played such an important role in shaping discussions in our community. So thank you, Adina. As mentioned, I'm Abdullah Snowbar. I'm the Executive Director of the DMZ, a leading tech incubator, and we're headquartered here in Toronto with operations around the entire world. We are ecstatic to have everyone here today as we continue to celebrate International Women's Day and reveal the inaugural winners of DMZ's 2022 Women of the Year. I am the one thing standing between you and that announcement, and I promise you I'll be wrapping up soon. Women's contributions to innovation in Canada have had exponential impact on our country's trajectory, yet so many still face disproportionate barriers and obstacles when it comes to accessing the tech ecosystem. So women, and in particular women of color, do not begin at the same starting line, and they have to work significantly harder to make it. One of the DMZ's founding organizational values, equity over everything, means that everything we do, we have to ensure that DMZ founders are on an equal playing field. This means that all women founders we support at the DMZ get an additional layer of support on top of the standard programming and have access to a community where they can actually feel more empowered by other fellow women co-founders. And we've been able to help create a space where they can share their unique experiences. We've had the opportunity to work alongside incredible women, whether it be through our programming, our partnerships, or via the community we've created over the many years. It's amazing to see how much more and exciting things that's coming to fruition. But we decided to put out a call this year for nominations from across the country to highlight women innovators in the tech and business community. The public nominations that we received were evaluated by a panel of judges who had a tough choice to make. And I have to say, incredibly difficult decision to make, reviewing very competitive and outstanding submissions. So I want to give a big thank you to our judges, and I do not envy you in where you sit, because I know it was not an easy process. But today's recognition is something that we are truly excited about. And I don't want to be the one, like I said, keeping you between that announcement. So I wanted to pass on the mic to Emily Collins, who's part of our marketing team, to help reveal the winners of DMZ's 2022 Women of the Year. So before I do that, I just want to say congratulations to all the winners, all the ones that were nominated, all the ones that will be nominated in years to come, because you are truly the symbol of change and the ones that are putting and making difference in our community. So thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Abdullah. So with nearly 600 nominations received from across Canada, the women I'm about to announce are some of the country's most innovative leaders. From so many diverse backgrounds and industries, the list includes startup founders, corporate leaders, nonprofit trailblazers, and emerging young women. The DMZ's Women of the Year award was designed with one main purpose in mind, and that was to put a spotlight on their work and their achievements. And as much as we would love to feature all 600 of the amazing, amazing women that were nominated, our award today will highlight a handful of them. But quite honestly, as Abdullah mentioned, all of the nominations we received were very, very impressive. And it was no easy feat for our judges to help us select the final winners. So I will be sharing with you the list of names for our award recipients, but we've also created a dedicated page to feature these women and their stories, which we will share with you on the side chat now. I strongly encourage everyone tuning in today to read more about the winners on the DMZ's website. And with that, in no particular order, I am thrilled to present the DMZ's 2022 Women of the Year. Drum roll. Mikaeline Khan, Janet Bannister, Adetone Abi Ayaleye, Nyla Molu, Eva Wong, Pamela Forster, Snita Balsera, Roya Kachui, Aria Digzit, Sabrina Jeremiah, Andrea Garog, Shingai Manjua, Andrea Matheson, Ariel Locke, Megan Chaika, Jamie Hoyt, Tara Deschamps, Tanya Kadir, Dr. Adiola Olubamiji, Samantha Oyang, Arlene Dickinson, Kushba Jha, Lucy Ho, April Dunford, Michelle Cares, Mayan Zeev, Marie Chevrier Schwartz, Janice Fukakusa, Fauzia Mohammed, Lean Lee, Laura Steinberg, Lynn Chen, Erin Ellefson, Teresa Marquez, Sang Lei, Rola Dagger, Ayitimi Popo, Jace Meyer, Stephanie Florio, Rebecca Rose, Emma Kerwin, Claudette McGowan, Salma El Yassir, Arti Sharma, Kirsten Stewart, and last but not least, Temilola Adebayo. All right, folks, give it up one last time for the DMZ's Women of the Year. I'd like to thank all of these winners for all of the amazing work that they do and for being such a source of inspiration for the next generation of women. And of course, thank you to all of the awesome folks who nominated these women. We'll now have a chance to hear from a handful of the award winners to learn more about what this award means to them. Following a video featuring the winners, Adina will take us from there to close out today's event. Let's check it out.
Everyone, my name is Mikaleen Khan, and I'm the CEO and founder of Althea Therapy.
Hi, I'm Salma Eliasir, co-founder and CEO of Womanies.
My name is Samantha Owing, and I'm the founder and executive director of School Position.
Hello, my name is Mayan Ziv, and I'm the founder and CEO at Access Now. I'm excited about building a world in tech that is inclusive, that highlights the strength of women of all abilities.
I know the impact that seeing examples of success can bring to women who are aspiring to become entrepreneurs.
To me, this award means that the status quo can be disrupted by underrepresented women dare dream.
I want women everywhere to know that their gender should not be stopping them. I'm also a new mom of a baby girl and want her to know she can do whatever she wants in life. Hopefully she gets into tech.
I'm thrilled to be working in technology because it is a dynamic, challenging, rewarding industry where an individual has the power to change the world.
Technology is fantastic, but it still has many challenges. We need more women in tech to expand our solution space and to increase our problem-solving capacity.
So I do hope over the next 10 years, we get to see more women in the industry and across levels, leading it right from the startup level to ringing a bell on the stock exchange.
And I am so humbled to win this award without my team and everyone supporting me, DMZ, Toronto, and being a woman in tech in Canada.
With this award, I hope to inspire other women to pursue their dreams in entrepreneurship.
I fell into my career in tech kind of by accident, but I quickly fell in love with all of the problems there were to solve, the products I got to work on, and honestly, the people I got to work with.
Thank you, DMZ, for this wonderful award. I'm excited to be part of tech in improving women's health and well-being.
The reason I'm passionate about technology is because it helps me bring my ideas to life and helps me develop solutions for causes that I'm passionate about.
My hope is that more young people across the country, no matter where they're from, no matter what their background may be, are able to realize their fullest potential to innovate.
Hi, I'm Nyla, and I'm a 15-year-old environmental researcher and author. I'm so excited to be a part of such an incredible community of women, and thank you so much for the honor.
I wanted to thank DMZ for this wonderful award. This award encourages me to push harder and be better and better every day.
I was inspired to move into the tech space to help people across the country get access to culturally responsive mental health support.
Winning this award means to me that I'm able to be the role model for younger girls that I wish I had when I first entered the tech field at 14.
Female tech leaders who are shining on a global stage. They're building products for the world, and they're role models of inspiration for the next generation of diverse leaders in tech.
My dreams started very early days at the DMZ, and today this award means the world to me. It really feels like it's all coming full circle to be recognized here today, and I thank you for this award. This is great importance in advancing women in our community. So thank you a million times, and I'm sending all my love.
Congratulations again to all of the incredible winners and nominees. The DMZ's Women of the Year is an annual award, so be sure to keep an eye out for nominations in 2023. You can also find the official list of winners posted on the DMZ's website. The link has been posted in the chat if you want to check it out and learn more about their stories. A big shout out once again to our panelists Lucy Ho and Nyla Molu, and our moderator, Lisa Lisson, for putting on a fantastic discussion, and to everyone behind the scenes who put this all together and helped ensure that it went without a hitch. And lastly, to our audience, thank you all for tuning in to the DMZ's International Women's Day event. Dare to disrupt, and have a great rest of your day.